space for real competition is disappearing. That's something that we should treat. I don't want to think saboteurs are here. Well, this is not something that we should treat lightly, because democracy is not destroyed overnight. It is weakened step by step until people begin to feel it no longer works for them. Whether one agrees with this concern or not, it is no longer something we can discuss. Because the opposition becomes effective, democracy itself begins to lose meaning. We must be clear about what means. That is up front. Banquet hall is supposed to be working. Just to use this place today. So I asked them, whatever it will take, we must be inside banquet. So it's possible that we have teething problems, but we'll manage through. So there must be clarity. What we're witnessing, what it means. Democracy is not defined by the success of one party. It is defined by the existence of alternatives, by the ability of citizens to choose, and by the confidence that those choices matter. Once that disappears, what we have may still be called democracy, but it will no longer function. One. That this discussion is happening here in Ibadan is not by accident. Ibadan has always served as the political capital of the Southwest, and indeed Nigeria. And let me sound a note of what for those that are playing on as if there will not be tomorrow. Did you remember that Operation Went Here started from here? Wild West. Back in 1950, this city hosted a conversation that helped shape Nigeria's constitutional future. Those discussions were not perfect, but they were necessary. They were driven by a recognition that the structure of a nation must be deliberately built, protected, and when necessary. In many ways, the gathering we're having here today carries the same responsibility. Let me also be clear about what this means to us. It is not a gang up against one man. And it is not about individual ambition, president. It is about the collective ambition of the Nigerian people to have a democracy that is properly defined. a gathering about something more fundamental: the survival of a system that allows Nigeria to remain open, competitive, and accountable. Because democracy without opposition is not democracy. It is a slow drift towards a one-party state. And Nigeria must not make that drift. The people, no matter how strong any party becomes, no matter how popular any government may appear, the presence of credible opposition is not a threat to democracy. It is what sustains democracy. If we allow opposition to weaken, whether by design or by neglect, bear the consequences. So this is not a moment for fragmentation. It is not a moment for violence. And it is certainly not a moment to disengage politically. It is a moment to think clearly, to speak honestly, and to act with a sense of responsibility that goes beyond party lines. Nigeria has gone too far to pretend that this does not matter, and the responsibility to ensure that it does not go further than it should belongs to all of us. So I welcome you to Ibadan. I wish us a successful deliberation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure that is how you clap for a good host. Give him a beautiful round of applause. His Excellency Engineer Oluseyi Makinde, Governor of Oyo State, and our host. Just before we introduce the next item, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is good to highlight the fact that deciding to host this is a choice Engineer Makinde has made, and is well aware of the consequences of that choice. But we remember that there is the argument whether we are made by history or whether we make history. Today, gathered in this hall, all of us have decided to dictate to history, because history itself is recording. If you agree that you are about to make history, give yourself a round of applause. Right now, very quickly, because we will spend not wasting time, move to the next item, which will be the opening addresses by the co-chairman. But drawing from where Engineer Makinde has gone historic, when he went on to tell us what people in the past did when they faced a similar situation. Today has always been historic. And today, in 1959, the greatest civil engineering adventure was undertaken by human beings. And today, it's about to take the greatest political engineering adventure in this country. On that day, St. Lawrence Seaway was officially opened, linking both the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes. Today, you are gathered to create a linkage that Nigeria's political history will hear you. It is not in my mouth to say. It is in the mouth of the two gentlemen who have co-chaired these processes, leading us to this momentous event. Let me therefore invite first, former President of the Senate, a distinguished gentleman in every right, a gentleman whose definition is about stability, about character, about principle, about consistency. Help me welcome, for his opening address, His Excellency, distinguished Senator David Bonaventure Mark, Chairman of the ADC. That's not how we clap for a man of integrity, a man of character, a man of principle. Your Excellency, sir. That's it. Yeah, sorry.
ita wannan da tafi.
Your Excellencies, Your Excellency, the former Vice President, President of
Still the channel. Still the channel is now. It's not working, it's still.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. Our gathering here today is an urgent response to an issue of patriotic duty. Who remember us, but when the nation cried out to be rescued, all of us here answered. That when we had the agonies of mothers that just buried their children, bandits, all of us here answered. That when we saw the silent agonies of fathers and husbands and their wives raped by terrorists, all of us here answered. That when children went to bed hungry, all of us here answered. Will ask us, but for one reason or the other, they are physically positive. They call it Nigerian mere opposition slogan. The evidence is there for all of us to see. Across the length and breadth of our country, insecurity has become a defining feature of our daily life. From the avoidable protracted insurgency and terrorism to the relentless banditry and mass kidnappings, the rise of violent crimes in our urban centers, Nigeria faces a historic challenge.
So we are trying to manage. Yes, sir.
The statistics are very frightening. Nigeria is fourth in the global terrorism index. And the community and livelihoods are destroyed. Taking the as replaced hope. The claims and posturing government. Yet, the government, whose primary duty to this, carry on with the shocking is wrong. And constantly, John criminal and protection. The APC-led government is behaving as if all is well. The government is preoccupied with election matters. Democracy is to provide people with a choice. When one government, this government, the power to vote the government out. ruling has done everything to be government. In the last 3 years, this government has launched major attacks on the opposition parties, all in a bid to deny the people the right to choose. They want to foist a one-party state on Nigeria. Institutions that should safeguard our freedom and protect the will of the people are increasingly on the right of citizens to choose their leaders is undermined. The independence of democratic institutions is being compromised. In fact, it is becoming increasing to describe what we have today as a fully functioning democracy, both form and substance. The task before us is nothing short of a national rescue mission. It is a mission born out of, compelled by the people and development. I must emphasize that this responsibility is far more important than sentiment, personal interest, or personal ambition. What is at stake is greater than it involves sacrifice by every member of the opposition. I have no doubt in my mind that no single opposition political party, no matter how strong, can confront a system so entrenched and so determined to retain power at all costs. What we are faced with is a regime that has shown, in both words and in deeds, a willingness to weaken democratic structures and suppress opposition voices. Let's not make a mistake about this. The move towards a one-party state is way. It has never happened before in this country, and it will not happen in our generation. The government has argued that it's not their duty to help build the opposition. Yes, they are right. Nobody has asked them for that favor. They call what they are doing to opposition political parties strategy. I call it tyranny. But is it their duty to destroy the opposition, as they have brazenly attempted to do? Can one do what they have been doing and still claim to believe in democracy or to be a Democrat? The answer is certainly no. We must not be in doubt. The forces that have sought to destabilize our various political parties will not stop. Even as we gather here, they are already scheming out to further undermine us and divide our ranks and sow seeds of discord among us. But we must remember where the rain began to hit us. We must remember how we got to where we are today. We must remember what has brought us here. We must remain clear that we cannot confront the future as fragmented entities. We must be united to be able to salvage our nation. It is for these reasons that this gathering and our dealings must be anchored on honesty and integrity. We must put all our cards face up on the table and speak truthfully to one another. There must be no hidden agendas, no last-minute surprises, and no room for distrust. Perhaps more than anything else, the success of our collective effort depends on our ability to build and sustain trust. We are racing against time and operating within a limited window. The urgency of our situation does not permit repeated mistakes. We must be willing to rise above narrow sentiments and reject parochial attitude that has historically divided the oppositions in this country. This is the time to rewrite the story of coalition building in Nigeria. The record of the APC government is one of complete failure. What remains in its wake is an aggressive reliance on propaganda and a sustained assault on opposition voices. However, we will not engage in a contest of propaganda with them. We will not substitute truth for ignorance. Their reliance on propaganda only exposes a deeper problem, an inability to accept responsibility. Nigeria is watching, and Nigerians are watching. They have been through the smoke screen and the lies. They recognize a government that has failed to meet their expectations for their sufferings. This is why, as we have repeatedly maintained, is before no longer a conventional political contest. This contest is between the ruling party, APC, and the Nigerian people. APC is contesting against the mother who has just buried her child. APC is contesting against the father who works endlessly, yet cannot feed his family. APC is contesting against the young graduate who sees no future, and against the pensioner who has been abandoned after decades of service to the nation. We are on the side of the people, and therefore, the Almighty God on our side. Recent changes within the economic management team are themselves a tacit admission of failure. If the system is functioning effectively, you do not replace leadership. Rejigging the cabinet at this late hour cannot save them from the verdict of the people. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let me use this opportunity to emphasize that the ability of our democracy rests with the neutrality and integrity of its electoral institutions. When the referee clearly and proudly wears the jersey of the other teams in a match he should be officiating, then the legitimacy of the instance, Nigerians have lost confidence in the electoral body called INEC. INEC is no longer an impartial umpire, and if nothing changes, Professor Joe Amopitan is about to preside over the most distrusted election in the Nigerian history. The consequences are better left to imagination. Leaders of great parties, let it be said loud and clear that at a defining moment in our history, when Nigeria stood at the edge of uncertainty, we did not falter. We did not allow personal ambition to override the desire of Nigerians. We did not collapse under the temptation of petty partisanship, self-satisfying ambitions. Instead, we chose unity over division. We chose sacrifice over self. And we chose country above all. Let this summit go down in history at the moment when everything changed. Let this be the beginning of a decisive movement, a movement that will restore dignity of our democracy, secure the lives of our people, and rebuild the foundations of our nation. I am very confident that if we stand together with conviction, discipline, and sincerity, no force will be strong enough to stop the will of the Nigerian people. May history remember us for our courage. History remember us for our sacrifice, and remember us for our resolve to save our democracy and our country. May it record that when Nigeria called, we answered with unwavering commitment, and when our people needed us, we did not falter, and we did not fail them. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
A round of applause for
His Excellency, distinguished Senator David Mark. I'm sure he deserves a better round of applause, please. In his speech, he reminded us of the disposition of Barack Obama when he said, in every generation there is a defining moment. And he has reminded us that this is our defining moment. If you agree, say, oh yeah. This is that defining moment. Again, people write history. Again, people make history. But we know that at some point, history makes people. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, Abraham Lincoln, it was who said that men are the masters of both Congress and courts. Not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the people who pervert it. Let me therefore invite a gentleman whose life has been over 4 decades in the courts. A gentleman who has had the privilege of bearing the burden and the brunt of attack since November 15. Then today is homecoming for him. In Ibadan, he emerged. Little did he know that he will be fighting and you have to come back to Ibadan to fight those who are fighting him. Help welcome to the microphone, Kabiru Tanimu Turaki, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party. A round of applause for him. Despite the fact he has not lost weight, a special panel must be made to probe him.
Your Excellency, our host governor, the performing governor of Oyo State, His Excellency, Governor Oluseyi Makinde, Your Excellency, our most respected friend, Your Excellency, the former Senate President and the Chairman of the NDC, and with that also to recognize all the chairmen of the opposition political parties that are here with us this afternoon. Distinguished opposition in Nigeria, distinguished patriots, distinguished invited guests, distinguished members of the fourth estate of the realm, and distinguished Nigerians. No moment in our political history since independence best exemplifies Shakespeare's immortal proclamation in Julius Caesar, and I quote, "There is a time in affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads unto a fortune. Omitted, all the void of their life is bound in shadows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures." Distinguished delegates, distinguished leaders, we are today at the cusp of history. The political stage is set. The dramatic personae are all ready, and time is passing and passing very, very quickly. But one thing is pending, which the world honestly awaits, and that is our action. That is our joint action. This is so important that even our inaction or refusal to act will be interpreted and recorded by us, by history, as an action. Never, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in our democratic history, we faced the busy of the opposition as we are today. Never have we done so carelessly on the brink of being a one-party state in this. Current embattled condition of the opposition in our country is the result of a state-engineered crisis tactically deployed to all opposition political parties with the prospect of a challenge to the lackluster performing APC-led federal government. We are dealing with personal evidence of onslaught. We are not speaking from hearsay, no guesswork, but from concrete life experience which we have gone through and which we are going through, and which, unless decisive action is taken by us, we will still be going through. A situation where renegade party members have been stupendously empowered to create problems within the rank and file of our parties, ultimately to use and to sue the party, leaving us very, very vulnerable. National institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that are created as guardrails on the express lane of electoral democracy have all today either been captured or been seriously compromised. The consequence of this is that our nation has today been sent very close to the destination, either self-help or self-precipice, God forbid. Today, the perception of these critical institutions is at their lowest ebb, a point of almost no recovery. Deficit has not only increased, but has reached a historic level. Dear friends, dear colleagues, dear opposition leaders, dear patriots, there is an urgent need for act, and to act now. This moment calls for deliberate action in defense of democracy, action in defense of our citizenship, action in defense of principles and honor. Yes, demands our collective action. Summit most important and most appropriate at this time in our history. We must deploy knowledge, we must deploy tact and strategy to undertake the wondrous but doable task of dislodging the non-performing APC federal government in the interest of the survival of democracy and for the purpose of emancipation and our fellow countrymen and women. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that by now all of us have reached a consensus that there is an urgent need to act, and to act expeditiously. So I will very quickly leave us with questions, the answers to which should point us in the right direction at the end of this summit. Number one, what if our parties are taken away from us and given to their cronies, as they have been boasting that they are going to do? Number two, what if the APC-led federal government continues to double down on the constriction of the political space against the opposition and the opposition political parties? Number three, what if the persecution of opposition leaders continues unabated? Number four, what if the non-performing ruling party and government, INEC, and other national institutions have concluded plans to make the country a one-party state? What if, and what if? The list of what ifs is endless, and you can add your what if. My top-of-the-mind solution is activation of a joint opposition, a framework which can be called either the Ibadan Accord or, if you like, the Ibadan Declaration. This accord or declaration will be a joint opposition platform where the defense of democracy will be the paramount interest. We must consider the power of the single stick and the bunch of sticks. Breaking the easiest thing that can be done. But when you get a bunch of sticks, then it becomes difficult for the strongest person to do. These distinguished ladies and Atiku is the task that is now facing us. To succeed, it is inevitable that we must come together. But the coming will be guided by sense of equity, by fairness, by justice, by transparency, and by fear of God. This point has been raised earlier on by His Excellency the Chairman of ADC, Senator David Mark, and there's no underscoring the significance of this. We must be seen to be dealing with ourselves and each other fairly, honestly, and justly. If we are accusing the APC-led federal government of being unfair, of being unjust, of being inequitable, then we certainly cannot allow ourselves, when we deal with ourselves and each other, also be accused of what we're accusing them of doing. We must not cut this in the air or work on unrealistic assumptions. We must use data as a guide to our analysis and listen to the voices of the people. For us in PDP, we have resolved that we will open our ears and listen to what Nigerians want. And what Nigerians want is what we'll give to them. I therefore want to urge on all leaders of other political parties today that are seated here for us to agree to say that the first thing that we need to do in succeeding to dislodge the non-performing APC-led federal government is for us to go back to the people. Let us go back to the people that they have left. Let us talk to the people. Let us listen to the people. Let us hear the people. Let us understand what it is that our people want. And then let us strive to make sure that we give to our people what our people want. That is what we're going to do. As I end my brief address, I want us to agree to depart Ibadan with the resolve to work together to rescue Nigeria from the cloak. We are proud of you for standing up to be counted on the right side of history at a time like this. You have shown beyond question that you are indeed a true patriot who places national interest far above ethnic and other mundane issues. We are sure that this investment you are making in the sustenance of democracy, in watering the seed of democracy, in ensuring that the democratic space is widened and strengthened, is something by the special grace of God that will bring humongous returns to you, whether in the short course or in due course. Let me also admit that indeed there are other leaders in the opposition that are also working like His Excellency to ensure that the opposition remains alive and that the project of making opposition work together, of strengthening the opposition, is something that becomes a reality. I would want to recall the Governor of Bauchi State, Governor Bala Mohammed, and the Chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Adelpo Swabara GCON, all of whom are unavoidably absent in this great event. So we appreciate the sacrifices that they have made and other leaders in other political parties that have been consistent in ensuring that Nigeria is not reduced to a one-party state. I must also commend all other political parties that have agreed to the convocation of this all-important summit, most of whom were contacted by agents and government and urged not to attend. That you've decided, in spite of this stupendous pressures on you, to attend shows that you have passed your first integrity test. We pray that we will all pass all subsequent tests that may be coming our way. In the end, I wish all of us fruitful deliberations and successful outcomes. But let us not forget that this is our time. Let us not miss it. Let us not also forget that if we do, our country will be doomed. God forbid. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless.
Please put your hands once more for the national chairman of the PDP, Barrister Kabiru Tanimu Turaki, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me share a quick factual story about this event with you. It will take a minute. At the end of sorting out all the logistics of this conference last night, the protocol of His Excellency and other relevant officials, together with our chairman of the local organizing committee secretariat and other members, we were here through to 11 o'clock, and by 12 midnight, this setting was done. By 6 o'clock in the morning, somebody from the presidential villa sent the shots of this stage to some of us. Someone had already taken the picture of what we've done last night, and by the morning hours, it was sent back to us from the presidential villa. You can factor that if mine is not true with Dr. Ajuji, who is the chairman of the local organizing committee. And so you ask the question, why is the APC afraid? And let's be blunt about it. The president said he's not afraid. But tell me for once to repeat after me. You must be afraid. Can I hear you, please? You must be afraid.
You must be afraid.
You must be afraid if you have Aisha Yesufu speaking against you. You must be afraid if you have the apostle, the proponent, and the philosopher of the Kwankwaso movement against you. You must be afraid. You must be afraid. You must be afraid. If you have Rotimi Amaechi telling you all the statistics about your fraudulent government, you must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have Aliyu, His Excellency, the former governor of Niger State, Babangida Aliyu, speaking against you. You must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have Peter Obi speaking about your government and its profligate attitude. You must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have Chief Kwankwaso speaking about the way you mishandle government and governance, you must be afraid. You must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have Professor Jerry Ghana talking about the crooked ways in which you handle politics and policies of leadership. You must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have Governor Sheyi coming out to tell you point blank that you are on the wrong side of history. You must be afraid. You must be afraid if you have distinguished Senator David Mark, a former Senate President of the Federal Republic, telling you all your dubious ways on the issues of leadership and governance. You must be afraid. And you must be afraid if you have Atiku Abubakar in the house. You must be afraid. May I, at this point, respectfully invite a representative of all the political parties that are attending and in attendance to this national summit to come and deliver a goodwill message on behalf of his colleagues. And I'm told that there is a consensus to that effect for want of time. To deliver that goodwill message on behalf of his colleagues, I invite Honorable Bala Yunusa Muhammad, the acting national chairman of the NNPP.
Your Excellency, Engineer Sheyi Governor, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It gives me a great pleasure, along with the national chairman of the opposition political parties present among us, eminent Nigerians, to look at the state of affairs in Nigeria, generally on our behalf, especially in politics. As Nigerians, we are concerned about the way things are going in the country. The insecurity, economic policies are taking a heavy toll on average Nigerians. The rule of law is under heavy assault, with multi-party democracy is facing a serious threat in our country. For this reason, a gathering like this, which as leaders of political parties, statements in attendance must be cherished by every well-meaning patriotic Nigeria. Yes, time like this shares many souls. We should not give up. We have a responsibility for our children and even unborn generation to stand up and be counted. As we navigate towards the 2027 general election, although the process has begun, it is our duty to protect our democracy, the rule of law, which are the bedrock of any country development. Therefore, I salute the courage and wisdom behind this document. I pray that the deliberation we are going to have will signpost a new beginning of our great country. Thank you. God bless. Amen. Thank you very much. I now, very respectfully, Your Excellencies, crave your indulgence to every other person who is going to have the opportunity to hold this microphone. And we need to spend, not waste time. Therefore, we are going to try to run very fast without missing anything. At this point, we are going to go to plenary session 1, which is chaired by Professor Jerry Ghana, CON. And I must inform you that we are going to skip keynote address 1 and take 2. So with your kind permission, Your Excellency, I now most respectfully invite first Professor Jerry Ghana, who will give a minute or two opening to signpost and foreshadow what is to come. But the gentleman whose duty would be to speak to us on ensuring free, fair, credible elections in Nigeria is none other than the gentleman who was first appointed in 2010 by President Goodluck Jonathan as President Electoral Commissioner in INEC and reappointed on account of his neutrality and integrity by President Muhammadu Buhari. That gentleman is none other, is a lawyer, a strong voice in advocacy, Barrister Amaechi. But for now, help welcome co-chairman of the planning of this event and the chairman of plenary session 1, Professor Jerry Ghana, CON.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Oyo State, Your Excellency, the Chairman of ADC, Your Excellency, the Chairman of PDP, Your Excellencies, all the other political party chairmen here gathered, Your Excellency, the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, former governors, former ministers, ambassadors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very, very much for your attention. We are moving quickly to session 1, and we are going to take a very important paper, although to be brief, but the issue is very, very important. In a democracy, the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections are very, very important. Democracy cannot be sustainable if elections are not free, fair, and credible. If elections are rigged, democracy will be ruined. If elections are manipulated, democracy will be diluted. Democracy is extremely dependent on the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections. And as you heard from our chairman, the chairman of ABC and PDP in their opening addresses, the current government is taking Nigeria in a very dangerous direction. And this is why we are delighted that you, very patriotic political leaders, have convened this summit. Kindly join me, put your hands together for this leader. Can I hear you? Put your hands. Former resident electoral commissioner of INEC, fair and credible elections in Nigeria. I want you to join me as I welcome Mr. Amaechi. Can I hear you? Put your hands together for where is Barrister? Keep calling for Barrister. Barrister, you're welcome. I can't hear you.